Most men make one fatal mistake when they want intimacy with a woman. They ask directly. And the moment they do that, the attraction disappears, the tension dies, and rejection becomes almost guaranteed. But the truth is, attraction doesn't grow through direct requests. It grows through psychology, emotional curiosity, and the right questions. The right question can make a woman feel seen, understood, and emotionally connected. And when that happens, intimacy becomes something she wants, not something she resists. So if you want to understand the questions that create emotional closeness without triggering rejection, keep watching. Emotional safety is the foundation of any deep connection a woman is willing to have, yet most men completely overlook it. Many believe that attraction is built purely through charm, looks, or physical gestures, but the truth is far subtler. A woman's mind is always scanning for signals that indicate whether she can trust you with her vulnerability. If she senses judgment, pressure, or a lack of understanding, her defenses go up instantly, no matter how attractive or confident you are. Emotional safety is not something you declare. It is something you create through your presence, your energy, and the way you engage in conversation. When a woman feels emotionally safe, she begins to lower those walls she normally keeps around her heart, and this creates an opening for connection that feels effortless and natural. Creating this safety is more about the small details than grand gestures. It's in the way you listen without interrupting, in the way you respond without trying to fix or argue, and in the way you validate her feelings rather than dismissing them. Women are subconsciously scanning whether you will respect their thoughts, their boundaries, and their emotional state. Even subtle cues, like maintaining calm body language or giving her space to think before responding, can communicate that she is in a judgment-free zone. The men who master this understand that a woman's comfort is more important than impressing her with words or showing off confidence. Emotional safety is about creating a mental and emotional environment where she feels she can express herself fully without fear of ridicule or pressure. It's also important to recognize that emotional safety is cumulative. It is built moment by moment through consistent behavior rather than a single question or action. When she senses that you consistently respect her feelings, listen deeply, and create space for honesty, she begins to associate your presence with calm, trust, and stability, which are the triggers for deep attraction and intimacy. Curiosity is one of the most powerful tools a man can use when building intimacy, yet so many approach women with the wrong mindset. Most men think they need to push, persuade, or pressure a woman to open up or feel connected, and this is where they fail every time. Pressure creates resistance, triggers defense mechanisms, and instantly shuts down any chance for closeness. Curiosity, on the other hand, works like a magnet. When a man approaches a woman with genuine curiosity about her thoughts, feelings, and experiences, he signals that he values her inner world, not just her appearance or the possibility of physical intimacy. Curiosity communicates that you are interested in understanding her fully, which makes her feel seen and appreciated. And when a woman feels seen, emotional walls begin to soften naturally. The key is not to ask random questions or interrogate her, but to ask questions that are thoughtful, open-ended, and psychologically intriguing. Questions like, what's a moment that really changed the way you see the world? Or when do you feel most alive? Create an environment where she can explore her emotions freely without feeling judged. These kinds of questions subtly shift the dynamic from pressure to exploration, from tension to intrigue, and she begins to associate your presence with mental stimulation and emotional resonance. Every answer she gives is a window into her emotional universe, and the more a man listens with curiosity rather than impatience, the more naturally closeness develops. Curiosity also allows a man to follow her emotional cues rather than forcing a path toward intimacy. He notices which topics light her up, which stories she lingers on, and which experiences she shares hesitantly. By paying attention to these subtleties, he can navigate the conversation in a way that feels organic and safe for her. The beauty of curiosity is that it builds tension without demanding it, attraction without coercion, and emotional connection without ever needing to ask for it directly. Psychological framing is one of the most overlooked secrets in creating intimacy, yet it is the subtle force that determines whether a woman feels intrigued or defensive. Most men focus only on what they say, but what really matters is how they say it, and more importantly, how the woman perceives it. The same words can either feel like pressure or curiosity, like judgment or understanding, depending entirely on the frame in which they are presented. Framing is about creating a mental context before you deliver a question or a statement, so that she interprets it in a way that encourages openness, emotional engagement, and trust. When a man frames a question correctly, she is already mentally prepared to answer it, and the interaction feels natural, effortless, and even enjoyable. For example, asking, "Do you like me?" places her in a defensive frame because it demands evaluation and risks rejection. But reframing it to something like, "I'm curious what makes someone unforgettable to you," shifts the conversation to her perspective, her emotions, and her experiences. Suddenly, she is in a creative and thoughtful state of mind, not a judgmental or fearful one. Psychological framing also works through subtle cues beyond words, the tone of your voice, your posture, the pace of your questions, and even the choice of topics. Each element sets a subconscious stage for how she interprets your intentions, whether as pressure or as intrigue. The men who master psychological framing understand that attraction is less about persuasion and more about direction of thought. They guide the conversation in ways that feel like natural exploration, not a test, and they create an environment where she can reveal herself freely. When framing is done correctly, a woman doesn't just answer questions, she begins to engage emotionally, imagine possibilities, and feel drawn into the dynamic without ever feeling coerced. Each frame she experiences becomes a subtle building block for trust, comfort, and growing attraction. Subtle emotional connection is the invisible thread that pulls a woman closer without her even realizing it. Most men try to force intimacy through direct talk or physical gestures, but true connection is built quietly, almost invisibly, through moments of shared understanding, empathy, and attention. It's in the way a man listens more than he speaks, notices small details about her mood or reactions, and responds in ways that validate her feelings without judgment. Women are highly sensitive to emotional energy, and even small signs of genuine understanding can create a powerful sense of closeness. This type of connection doesn't demand anything from her. It simply makes her feel seen, appreciated, and safe, which naturally opens the door to deeper levels of intimacy over time. The subtlety is key. It is not about grand declarations of emotion or trying to impress her with charm or confidence. It is in the small, deliberate acts, remembering what she mentioned in passing, asking about her day in a way that shows attention, or responding to her stories with curiosity and empathy rather than opinion or solution. Each of these interactions is like a soft signal that you understand her inner world, and when repeated consistently, they build a mental framework where she begins to associate your presence with calm, emotional resonance, and genuine interest. The more a man engages this way, the more she subconsciously relaxes, sharing her thoughts and feelings freely, because the environment he has created feels non-threatening and emotionally enriching. Subtle emotional connection also creates a unique form of tension and attraction. Because the connection is emotional rather than physical, it stimulates the mind and the heart simultaneously. She begins to anticipate your attention, to value your perspective, and to feel an attachment that goes beyond surface-level interaction. It is this unseen, gentle, and consistent form of engagement that makes her want to share more, trust more, and lean into a connection that feels effortless, yet deeply compelling. Creating mystery and polarity is one of the most powerful yet subtle ways to deepen attraction and draw a woman closer. Most men approach intimacy with predictability. They reveal everything too soon, they share too many details about themselves, or they behave in ways that leave nothing for her imagination. Mystery, on the other hand, creates a sense of intrigue and emotional tension. When a man maintains an air of unpredictability, not in a manipulative way, but through controlled self-disclosure and selective sharing, he invites curiosity. Women are naturally drawn to what they don't fully understand, to the nuances and layers of a personality they can explore slowly. Polarity comes hand in hand with mystery. It is the tension between confidence and vulnerability, strength and sensitivity, certainty and openness. This tension activates emotional and sexual attraction because it engages both her mind and her feelings, making her want to explore, understand, and ultimately feel closer. Polarity is not about being dominant or aggressive. It is about balancing presence and intrigue. When a man expresses his desires, opinions, or boundaries in a clear and confident manner while remaining attuned to her emotional state, he creates a dynamic that feels alive. She begins to sense that he is different from others she encounters, that he holds a world of thoughts, experiences, and emotions that are uniquely his. Mystery enhances this by allowing her to imagine possibilities rather than receiving every detail up front. Small gestures, enigmatic statements, or sharing experiences in a way that leaves room for curiosity can ignite attraction. For example, when a man shares a story but leaves the emotional impact partly unexplained, she is drawn to ask, to understand, and to connect on a deeper level. When mystery and polarity are combined, they naturally create magnetic tension. She is emotionally stimulated, mentally engaged, and subtly challenged in a way that feels exciting rather than overwhelming. This tension fosters desire because it turns every interaction into a journey of exploration, where she feels both drawn to him and eager to discover more, deepening the connection without any direct pressure. Reading her responses is the subtle art that separates men who stumble into intimacy from those who create it effortlessly. Most men either ignore the signals she gives or misinterpret them entirely, responding with either pressure or indifference. Women communicate a great deal through more than just words. The tone of their voice, the pace of their speech, their body language, and even the way they pause or hesitate all reveal important insights about how comfortable and open they feel. Learning to observe these cues is not about manipulation. It is about understanding her inner world so that you can adjust your approach to make her feel safe and connected. Every word she chooses, every story she shares, and every subtle gesture is a piece of a puzzle that tells you where she is emotionally and how willing she is to move closer to you. The key is to listen actively and observe attentively rather than reacting impulsively. When she shares something personal, notice whether she does so with excitement, hesitation, or caution. When she laughs, is it genuine, playful, or a polite cover? When she changes topics, is it because she is uncomfortable or simply shifting her attention? These nuances are essential because they allow you to navigate the conversation in a way that feels natural and safe for her. By matching her emotional energy, asking questions that follow her cues, and pausing when she signals hesitation, you create a dynamic where she feels understood without being pressured. Reading her responses also allows you to predict emotional openings for deeper connection. Some women reveal vulnerability slowly, and the men who succeed are those who notice even the smallest hints, an almost imperceptible softening in her voice, a fleeting glance, or a lingering pause that signal readiness for more intimacy. By being attentive to these subtle signals, you can respond in ways that reinforce trust and closeness, gradually building emotional and psychological intimacy, while she begins to feel a magnetic pull toward you without ever feeling forced or rushed. The truth about intimacy is that it is never earned through pressure, insistence, or force. It is earned through patience, understanding, and the subtle mastery of connection. Every question you ask, every moment you listen, and every emotional cue you notice builds an invisible bridge between you and her, a bridge made of trust, curiosity, and respect. Women respond to men who create psychological safety, emotional intrigue, and genuine understanding, and when these elements are present, intimacy naturally unfolds without the fear of rejection. It all comes down to awareness, being present, reading her responses carefully, framing your words in ways that spark curiosity, and allowing emotional tension and polarity to create attraction. The men who succeed are those who understand that intimacy is not something to demand, but something to invite through energy, presence, and connection. By focusing on emotional safety, subtle connection, curiosity, and the delicate balance of mystery and polarity, you are not just asking questions, you are guiding her into a space where she feels safe, drawn, and eager to share herself with you. Mastering this approach transforms not only how a woman responds to you, but also the entire dynamic of attraction and closeness. It creates a connection that feels effortless, natural, and magnetic, where intimacy arises as a byproduct of understanding and emotional resonance. The key is consistency, attentiveness, and the willingness to move slowly, allowing the natural flow of trust, curiosity, and desire to take over.